prune, which means people haven't been cutting them. Like, the trees don't mind. But if you want to get more fruit, like, it's better to take some of the vegetation out of the tree and then leave more space. So the main guideline is that we want to have a tree that has, when it has its leaves on it, has plenty of space inside the tree for air to flow through, like a breeze. Because, you know, in the summertime, it gets really hot here and it's not very breezy. And if the tree is crowded, moisture can build up and it can become, and funguses can grow. This is probably right here. This mark on this branch is probably a fungus. And so we're going to try to cut that branch off. So the other thing that we want to think about as a general rule, apart from air movement through the tree, is whether light can get into the tree, sunlight. So you want to have like branches that are always going to be in the shade. You might as well remove. So like this branch, for instance, when this tree has leaves on it, is not going to get any sunlight, so it doesn't really need to be there for our purposes. The tree doesn't care, but we care because we want to have more fruit. Let's see. Another rule so those are the two main principles, and then the rules are if there's a branch that's growing into the tree, we want to cut that off. So like this branch, see how it's pointing toward the center of the tree? That's like, if we take that out, that's going to make more space for light and air inside the tree. You can also cut them so that they're shorter, because you don't want all your fruit to be at the top and then just look at it and watch the birds take it away. And we want to cut off anything that's dead or diseased looking. If you're not sure if it's diseased, like, you know, if it looks weird, so like this looks weird. You see this part of the branch? So like this is not a healthy part of a branch, so we can tell it's diseased and we might as well cut it off. Anything that's dead, it's a little harder to tell in the wintertime if something's dead, but if it's dry, like, you know, and it just comes off, you can just knock it off. These little ones don't make a big difference. And then, let's see, and anything that's growing downward. So if you have a branch like, you know, like this branch, these branches are growing downward, so we'll cut those off. And then we also want to cut off suckers. This is called a sucker. Down here. It looks like another tree coming up right next to your tree. It's growing out of the trunk. And we're going to cut those off so the tree stays tree-shaped instead of becoming a bush shape. Let's see. Also, the project that they're doing with these figs works really well with figs, but it also works for other types of trees like peaches. So you can take a twig like this big, like this one, and do the same thing with it that they're doing with the figs. You have to baby them a little more than figs, but you can grow a new peach tree out of a twig from a peach tree, which is a cool thing to know. Okay, so, and then I told you about sterilizing your shears. There's wipes here, so I'll get started on this tree so you can all see how it goes. And so, like, the rule is, I might not finish this tree today because I don't have a saw with me, but the rule is when you trim them, you want to take up to a third of the tree out. That seems like a lot, but as you see, this tree is like very bushy. So I'm going to start at the bottom, and when I make a cut, I'll start with this one so you can see. When I make a cut, there's a part of the branch, Rabbi Jana, maybe you can zoom in on this branch. There's a part of the branch that's kind of wrinkly where it connects to the tree. That's called a collar, just like our collars. And then this is the branch, and then this is the trunk. And we want to cut right outside the collar. And when we cut it, we want to try to angle it so that the cut is never facing vertical, because you don't want a little puddle to form on it. You want it to be slanted in one way or another so that water that gets on there will slide off and not create a little mushroomy spot. So I'm just going to take my first cut. I'm going to, try to be careful and get it right to where I want it to be. And then just go for it. So this is a big branch that I just cut off the tree, but the tree doesn't mind. And So I'm gonna try to make them into piles as I go, so I don't have to gather it. Here's the next one. Let's see. I'll do this vertical one because it's kind of in the way. There we go. I'll do this vertical one because it's in the way. If you make a bad cut that's too long, you can come back later with a saw and shorten it. That's okay. If you make a cut that's too close to the tree, just leave it alone and try not to do it next time. That's my rule.